In this volatile and dynamic environment, especially in manufacturing sector, change length appears to be the only stable factor. And in pursuit of efficiency, in pursuit of continuous improvement, or we call it operational excellence, many companies, they choose this path as a strategic path to maintain their competitive edge, to maintain the efficiency, to improve their performance level. So my project revolves around this unlocking manufacturing success and talking about what is operational excellence, where it came from, and then the ultimate goal, the end picture in my mind when I came from the first day in my DBA was, okay, I believe in operational excellence. I know that all those tools behind this framework, they are very powerful, and the history of operational excellence lasts for several centuries. And all those people who've been working starting from the late 18th century, Adam Smith, with the maximizing through the output of the production level. For the 19th century, things like Lean Six Sigma, Kanban, total quality management, PDCA cycles, Deming cycles, all those tools are well known, and those were incorporated in Toyota production system before. And a decade further, there was a doctor whose name is Shigeo Shingo. It's a gentleman who was working with the Tahiti owner while working on implementing in Toyota production system, and moved in the United States and helped to create this framework with the sound principles. And he got famous for that. So should I click it here? Okay. So what is operational excellence? Nowadays, operational excellence is an enterprise-wide best practices framework, which consists mainly from 4 parts. The first part is about strategy. The second part about maintaining those standards, performance management, results. The third part, do I have a laser here? The third part is about continuous improvement. And the fourth block is about cultural enablers, everything related to HR. So nowadays, this is the evolution form that took place. But as I mentioned, before it was about quality, speed, cost. Now the fourth part it's a big part, is about how do you make sure that people understand you, why you're doing it, rather than what to do it and how to do it. It's very important. Now I realize that it's very important. And these are my research questions. So it's all started from here. My background is mechanical engineering. The more I developed, now I reached the point in my career that I had to lead companies. I had to manage all those factors, different teams and all that. And I realized that there are so many factors that affect this operational excellence. And my hypothesis is the higher the maturity level, the higher the operational excellence and performance. So maturity level in this case has a moderating effect to association of operational excellence and the performance level. So this is the distilled way of the research question, how I came into this. So I know that, and I'm sure you all know that these 4 blocks are existing in every single company. My question was, okay, to what extent these blocks are comprehensive in each company, and what else affects to this level? And that's where I came across the maturity level concept. And this concept, I came to this with 2 roads. First is with my experience, because I was developing as a young engineer 20 years ago. and I was responsible for controlling quality. Then I was responsible, when I got my degree 12 years ago in the United States, I was responsible for small engineering teams. That's a system thinking. Now I'm responsible for the companies. That's the big whole another history. So maturity level, and I realized that I also was maturing, yeah, in my view, in my experience. And I found a lot of studies, systematic review based on 72 articles that were saying the same thing. The maturity level, which is consists from 13 dimensions, it has great effect to operational excellence. It's so multi-faceted. So many factors could affect. And my goal was to simplify it to the point so every maturity level has own operational excellence, this circle with the different dynamics. So that way people don't get confused, and they would use exactly tailored tools and methods that they need at that certain time of maturity, at the level of development company, without wasting time and resources. Qualitative part is more devoted to communication. It's a big problem from my experience. Communication, there is no problem with strategy. There is no problem with these blocks itself. There is a problem between communication bridges between them. How do we make sure that those folks understand each other? How do we make sure that they are effective and work as one unit and affect to the operational performance? That was the qualitative part is work around, finding the best tools and practices for effective communication across the company. That's a big challenge. So, importance of research, we know that operational excellence as continuous improvement it's very famous, but at the same time, the failure rate also is very high. And that's when I was going through these all academic studies, I found it, and I was shocked. I mean, how come it's possible? So that's when I came and I decided to do this project and make it tailored specifically for the each company and categorize it at least in 5 categories, and then based on the data, say, hey, if you're maturity level 1, this is the operational excellence model you should be having without wasting time and resources. Yeah, the interdisciplinary aspects, there are many methodologies out there apart from operational excellence. Shingo model, European Foundation of Quality Management model, maturity model, Malcolm Baldrige Nationality Quality Award based on 7 dimensions. Here we have 9 dimensions. All those models, they are efficient. It's just about which country they've been using. Malcolm Baldrige, United States, European countries, and Shingo model came from Shigeo, but it was being introduced in the United States. So, but those are very expensive. And my auditory, my niche is to help small and medium companies that don't have abundant resources and help them. Because the self-check, here is the self-check, the checklist is the dimension, 20 dimensions of the operational excellence and 13 dimensions of maturity level. So by doing this checklist, companies have an opportunity to assess themselves without help of the consultants. And by doing that, they have an opportunity to tailor their strategy based on what their needs, customer wants, priorities, and resource availability. So this is just a research method example. We have created like 20 companies' data. It's not real data, but I needed to model the situation. So here you can see the sample data from maturity level score, sample data from OE score. And analysis is just an example of statistical analysis of regression and correlation. So ideally, I should have a 5 maturity level tailored operational excellence model, different sizes. Plus, qualitative part would help me to add up the communication part of it. Okay, what do you use to make sure strategic people who create the strategy convey the message to people who do the work? So yeah. Conclusion, it's the value added, and my value proposition here is It's the operational excellence is integrated model in the end, the final picture. But to do that, I would need to collect the data, somehow convince the businesses to take my research questionnaire, hopefully, and come up with the tailored operational excellence framework. Questions? Thank you very much.
So you're thinking about maturity of the company, but how do you tell that apart from industry maturity? Think about oil and gas, or in this case, automobile. So how do you, what should we think about when you think about company maturity? What is that?
It's a 13 dimension that basically involves strategy, structure, leadership, type of teamwork, type of the how we make a decision. So things like that. It's more related to corporate level.
So it's like management practices.
Yes,
Okay.
Management practices, best practices.
Okay.
This is something you would not find in manufacturing places. That here, all these dimensions, they're all related. They came from this, Lean Six Sigma, total quality management, ISO standards, all on the floor of the best practices. So here you don't see it. And in my experience, in my observation, so these guys has an effect to this outcome, moderating effect. The question is to what extent and which of these dimensions should be left out in certain period of the development in the company. That's the question.
I had a similar question. Like, what do you mean by maturity? Like, how is that defined?
Maturity
when
level.
you first mentioned it, I thought it was age, like the length, age of the firm.
Yeah, my bad. I should have gave the definition. There are tons of definition of maturity level, starting from individual, company, I don't know, the mood. But in this case, from the managerial literature perspective, maturity level is the capability of the company systematically change their processes. Starting from first dimension is ad hoc, chaos, and optimized version. And there is another definition for maturity level, which was based on based on systematic review of like around 60 articles. And it sounds like maturity level means maturity level is the way organization could organization could measure their maturity points on certain level and can make a decision further whether we take this step on certain dimension or not. So it's a scale.
So are you going to be able to?
That's a strategy.
Are you going to be able to measure that? Like
yes.
Quantitative.
Yes.
Study.
Yeah, and each level, by the way, has its own description. So companies, they clearly understand what does it mean to be on the level 1 in terms of the structure, on level 2 in terms of the structure. Each this level has their own description. And by the way, it's based on the McKinsey 7S2, the core. Yeah. This is based on 20 Kobayashi tool. It's very famous in all the Japanese companies, and I mean all the companies that I know. Even General Electric, I spent 7.5 years there, 6.5 years. I mean, they are using it. They call it different though, but the concept is the same.
So you're going to send out like surveys, questionnaires, and they're going to say where they are on that.
Yeah, my win-win is like, okay, I'm going to tell them, oh, if you have a great opportunity to use the scale to measure against the scale, then decide whether you want to like play around with these dimensions and decide. And that's how the strategy works. Based on the resources, based on the priority at a certain time. That's the key, because it's often, I see a lot of companies, they often, oh, this is the buzzword, let's implement the SAP or ERP or Lean Six Sigma, whereas they just started, they don't need it. It's too early for them, too expensive, but still, they're trying to have the whole thing and they fail. That's the problem. Expensive problem.
Yeah, I have one question. Why is the 5-5-5?
5-5-5?
Like 5 degrees of operational excellence to 5 degrees of make sure it's divided.
Well,
you suggested it's 5.
Scientifically, it's like I can understand. the logic. This is not something that Irma's created. So it's a scale that we'll know, both of them. This 4 and 5. But I can understand that it's Likert scale, so you have a statistically you can prove. Yeah.
So 5 comes from the literature, like it's not
Yes.
something you
Yeah.
decide.
No. It's not something that I have created. They're all there, and I have resource source. So I think there is a great benefit from the companies. I mean, for the companies. Yeah.
That's question.
Last question. So a couple times in the paper you mentioned causation. Is that what you're hoping? Is there something you can say that something causes something, or are you looking just for a strong correlation?
This is maturity level in my model. Before I used to have only these folks, but the more I did my academic research, I realized that there's got to be something maturity level. The analytic results studies show that there are 8 dimensions that affect this operational excellence. So when I start reading it, those 8 dimensions from maturity level the same. Yeah, most of them. And this is moderating effect. So it could be like not affecting, or maybe it's plus, maybe it's minus in certain combination. I don't know the combination yet. So there are tons of tools here. Balanced scorecard, I don't know. Strategic sessions, or just a napkin, make a decision on a napkin, make a phone call, and that's it. That should be enough. You need the standards. You need ISO. You need all these very expensive standards. You could just create the worksheet. Continuous improvement. This whole thing is about how you make sure that people, every single person in the company, understand the process, and he's willing to change something, how to do their job faster, better, and cheaper. The whole thing is about this, the challenges. Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you very much.